Hey there you guys, welcome back. Today we are going to do a backyard tour. So the front garden was a little bit long. Let's see if we can make the backyard a little shorter. Yeah, let's get to it. Okay, so let's start this off with a pan around of the garden. I ended up getting a muff for the camera mic, so hopefully it's cutting down the wind noise. I didn't know that there was one available for this style of camera. So anyway, right in front of us we have the Cercis canadensis, the forest pansy redbud. We'll get closer into that soon, and the hostas, and then we'll move around here. We got a cute Japanese maple going on right there with the really striking chartreuse leaves. We've got the banana grove that's going there. I had a bunch more bananas, you'll see them in a few minutes, but I only chose to put 3 back in the spot because I don't want to overload it. They will produce all kinds of babies. Along the fence there, we've got a Weigela, we've got a lavender rose, and I just moved the boxwood a little bit farther to the side. It was right up against the Weigela, but they're getting to be big, so I gave it a little bit more space. This year I planted a honeysuckle vine. I need to get an obelisk for it to climb up. I don't want it to only climb up the fence, but there it is right there. Soon there's going to be a structure there to hold it in place. This is a new tree that I got. It's a twisty baby Robinia, or it's a black locust, and it's a contorted variety, so that's going to be interesting to watch. We'll get a little closer to that in a second. Got all kinds of empty pots because I've been planting this weekend. This is the May 2-4 weekend for us, the Victoria Day holiday. I think it's Victoria Day. Hope I'm getting that right. So yeah, lots of planting going on. And we've got the tower garden, and I planted some baskets up against the pergola. Now we're going to go down this garden. I planted a xanthosoma down here where the bare spot is, so eventually that's going to have a beautiful limey green leaf that comes out. But yeah, we'll get a little closer to that. And then there's this garden over here with the contorted larch and hostas and other things. So let's start up on the deck, I suppose. Actually, let's start here on the patio. So I'm going to be bringing some plants out, and they're going to be going on the rack. But before they go on the rack, I think I'm going to put them over here for a week or so. Here that gets just morning sun. It gets nothing afternoon in about an hour or so. What time is it now? I don't know. It's probably like 9 o'clock in the morning. It gets a little bit of sun, and then after, let's say 10 or 10:30, it gets pretty shady here as the sun moves around. I'm going to be putting my aeroids here. As you can see, I've got a pastazanum. Well, it's hard to see. Pastazanum and the Thamatophyllum sprucianum over here. It blew off the top shelf. I'll have to put it in a clay pot or something so it gets some weight. And I also have a little lemon tree that is hidden by the shade. There we go. It got spider mites pretty bad this winter, so yeah, hopefully it grows out of the damage that it got. It should. And then over here we have the tower garden. On the top we have some Amorphophallus konjac, which I had every intention on splitting this up over the winter time, but I didn't get to it. So now I've got like probably 100 little babies in here, and all kinds of little bulbils that I need to bury in soil. Yeah, I was really hoping to separate them out and put some of the biggest ones in their own pots. I still could do it. They're not far along, but we'll see how it goes. I've been pretty busy, so we'll see. So this tower garden is mainly peppers. These ones are a sweet cherry pepper, which I've never heard of before. If any of you have grown sweet cherry peppers, I thought it was a mislabel. I thought somebody put a cherry tomato tag in the pepper section, but it is actually a pepper. Let me see. I've got a pineapple salvia there. But look at the tag here. Is it going to come into focus? I hope it does. But they look like little cherry tomatoes, just a little pointier on the bottom. So it'll be exciting to see what grows there. I also got a chocolate ghost pepper, wherever that is. Let me try to find it. I got a bell pepper and something else. I can't remember. I think a shepherd pepper. but there's the ghost pepper. So we'll see how they grow, and I don't know that I'll eat those, but they're really a beautiful plant. So let's go up here. You've seen the Sarracenia basket or planter. As you can see, these petals are getting really long. I'm gonna see about pollinating it. I was given some advice, thank you so much, and we'll see what we could do. But yesterday I had to move it over here because the wind was whipping it, and I felt really bad for the new pitchers, as you can see, coming out. And yeah, I moved it into the sheltered location. It's not in its little basin of water. It will move back to its basin in a day or so when the wind cuts it off, because it was actually blowing these things almost flat to the ground. I was lucky that they've been springing back, but they won't always spring back. They can deal with some wind, but they can't deal with a constant wind, in my experience. So over here we've got the baskets. In these baskets, all of them are the same, all three of them. We've got this really cool fuchsia. It's got a more of a trumpet-shaped flower. Hopefully it's coming into focus, but I'm hoping that it will bring some hummingbirds. And then we've got these are super petunias. So these are a self-cleaning petunia that doesn't require me to deadhead them. I will prune them from time to time just to keep them in check, but they don't need to be deadheaded, which is a real lifesaver. Deadheading some of these plants can get really time consuming as the plants get bigger. So all of these are the same. I've got, I think this is called Dahondra. It's called Silver Falls. It just really just drapes over the side of the pot. So I got 2 of these in each pot. And then I got a Lismachia at the front. I really like the leaves of this. This is going to have a yellow flower. I don't really want it to flower because I don't know that it'll go with the purple and pink, but we'll see how it looks. If I don't like it, I'll try to pick off all the flowers. So let's get a front-on view of this. So we've got the Silver Falls that are going to come down either side, and the Lismachia that's going to come down the front, and then the petunias here, they're going to add some volume and also drape down the sides, and then the fuchsia is going to grow out the top. And they've got lots of space to hang down. As you can see, there's lots of space. So the Dahondra, the Silver Falls, is going to look really nice. I'm so excited. We ended up putting some party lights around the deck, or around the pergola. There's all kinds up there. It looks beautiful at night. If you follow me on Instagram, you've probably already seen the photo of it at night. 2 days ago, I just finally ripped out the old planter that was here. I'm getting a little shaded, and I did another succulent planter here. I'm just waiting for it to dry out because I just transplanted everything, and then I will give it a good watering, and then I'm going to put a mulch of stones over top. This is mostly types of Echeveria, I believe. Let me know if I'm wrong. There's a lot of, this is a Crassula. I'm not sure of the varieties. Around here, they're just sold as unnamed things. You buy them because they're pretty. And I bought 2 palm trees this year, which I normally don't do. I'm not a palm guy. But Chris, you're rubbing off on me. And I ended up getting a bottle palm, which I have wanted for a long time, but never got one. And a spindle palm, which I thought was the bottle palm. Am I going to get some better light here? I thought it was a bottle palm because they were all in the same group. I noticed that the bottle palm had the thicker leaves, but I thought it was just a younger plant. But so I brought it home and I was told, "Oh, Bill, I think you got the wrong thing." So yeah, I had to go out and buy a bottle palm afterwards. So this is the bottle. Let me see if I can get a better view of it. So we'll try to follow this one's growth, and hopefully I can keep it alive. I have a really bad track record with palms, but I think in the past I've kept them too wet. I've kept them too moist. When I think of palms, I think of tropics, and but I should be thinking really well draining soil, and they do have a tendency to dry out between waterings, so I was keeping it constantly moist, if not too moist. So that's that. Over here we've got the shell ginger. I was trying to overwinter it this year to keep the foliage instead of having it go completely dormant, because I was reading that they flower on second year growth. So I thought if I want it to flower, I might have to keep the leaves over winter, keep the canes, and so we'll see if it doesn't flower this year, or I see it flowering on old or the newer growth. I'm just going to cut it back and store it dormant. It was a pain in the butt because it really was wide in the grow room, and I was stepping on the leaves because they kind of flopped to the ground. So as I was walking around, it probably took up a good 4-foot round spot in the grow room, and as I was walking around it, I'd frequently step on the leaves by mistake. So the new leaves are looking pretty nice. Last year I found that it wanted to be in a part shade location. When it was in full sun, it really got washed out and started to curl, but it looked so much better when it had some protection from midday sun. So if you have any advice on growing the shell ginger, let me know. I'd really be eager to grow it a little bit better. And then we've got this Old Faithful, wow, it's really dark on the camera. Old Faithful Colocasia, I think it's Fontense, and it's got a really nice rubbery leaf, and oh, it's so rubbery, it's weird. It's a really nice grower. I need to get in here. It's been in this pot for probably 3 years, and I just need to get in there, freshen it up, and get rid of all of the old dead stuff. And I've been noticing last year, particularly, it didn't have really big growth. It had a lot of smaller growth. It still did get leaves about 12 inches long, but when I first planted it the first year, the leaves were about 16 at least inches long, maybe even closer to 18 to 20 inches. And it actually flowered, and the flowers smelled beautiful. Last year it didn't do very much. So we'll give it a clean up and see what's going on. If you want to be taken along for that journey, let me know. I can set up a camera. So yeah. It was so windy on the deck. So in these pots here, I planted the Patora canna lily. So they were just planted last weekend, so they will take some time to sprout. The roots look good, or the rhizomes looked good. I just need to give them a little bit of time and keep them moist but not wet to let them start to produce roots. And then once I see that there is growth starting, some leaves, I can keep them moist constantly. But they do like to dry out slightly between waterings anyway. So in this garden, like I said, I've got the Xanthosoma. You can kind of see where the root is here by my finger. There's a bunch of bulbs here. This one here, I normally try to keep it over winter. As you can see the tag here, it's got a really beautiful chartreuse leaf. I usually tried to grow it over winter because I love it so much that I don't want it to die. But this year was the first year that I actually stored it completely dormant, and the bulb or the tuber stayed really, really big. So I'm hopeful that this is going to be a much larger grower this year than I have in the past. Because when I tried to keep it alive over winter, it would start to grow, and then it would go dormant, and then it would start to grow, and then progressively the leaves would get smaller and smaller and smaller, and the corm size or the bulb size or the tuber would also decrease in size. So this started off with a really nice sized root system. Over here we have painted daisy. I think this one's mostly hot pink, but I think it's a mix between hot pink and a light pink. So super excited. As you can see, it's starting to put some buds out. They'll get much taller than this, probably another foot tall. But it's on its way to Bloomtown, which is fantastic. We got the hydrangea that is looking really, really sad. It started off really nice. In April, it started to grow because we had a really warm April, and then end of April and the first week of May were quite cold. We were getting frosts on a regular basis, and it really burned the leaves. And then this is a really cool sedum. This one's called Thundercloud. I love the scalloped edge, the serrated look to the leaves. Really excited to see how this one grows. Last year was the first year I had it, and it looked a little worse for wear because it had been growing in a pot almost all season. And this is the first year that it's probably going to be a nice shape. And then we've got the what is this one? Arometallicum, and it's doing good. It should be dying back soon. It seems to die back for the summer and then come back in the late fall, I believe, and then kind of is an evergreen, which is weird to me that it would want to be in leaf over winter. So let's go over to this garden. Oh, we've got, I forget what kind of crinum this is, but it has the pink and white striped flowers. I have not had it bloom yet. This is the third season I've had it. We'll see. Hopefully it blooms at some point soon in the next couple of years. Otherwise, I will just toss it because it's taking up valuable real estate. And if it doesn't want to bloom, I'll give it 5 years. If it doesn't want to bloom, I don't have space. And then the iris batik is starting to put out its flowers. Hopefully it's coming into focus really nice. These are such beautiful blue-purple flowers with white flecking. It's just such a beautiful flower. Follow me on Instagram. If the link is down below. If you want to see flowers of this when it opens up, it might be in flower for the June update, but no guarantees. But I will maybe if I find it, I'll try to post the photo somewhere here so that you can see what it looked like last year. I'll do my best to find it. And these boxwoods are looking so nice. I love these boxwoods. I don't know what variety they are, but they've got such a glossy leaf. Oh, they're so pretty. I'm going to give them a light clipping this summer, just to give them a little bit of a shape and to promote branching, so they're not so lanky. But I'm really pleased with them. Maybe when I take the cuttings, I'll actually take cuttings so I can make more. Be kind of nice to edge the beds in these boxwoods. Don't know what my finger was showing, but I was just pointing to the edges of the gardens. So this is the contorted larch. It's looking so good, and I love the feeling of the leaves. The needles are starting to harden off. They don't feel like fishing lures anymore, but maybe that's a good thing, so I don't keep touching them. So I'm just wondering whether I'm going to top it off, just cut off the single little tip there, or bring it down to just about a foot above the fence. So if you have any suggestions, let me know. I might even just leave it the way that it is and see what it does. I don't want it to get super tall. I want it to get a little bit wider. So yeah. In this garden we have the blanket flowers. They've been doing really well this year. Usually for blanket flowers I have very mixed success with them. Either they do really well or they don't do anything at all, and they're usually really late. But these ones started pretty early, and they started from the main root system. Usually when I have grown them in the past, I get a lot of die-off, and this one did not die very much. So there's that one, and then I've got one over here. One of them is supposed to be a red variety, and one of them is supposed to be the typical orange and yellow. So we'll see how that goes. I've also lined these gardens in ageratum, as you'll probably see. They had the blue flower that I had last year. That's one of them. So I just planted these in the cell packs in the spring, well, just a couple of days ago. I don't know what I'm talking about now. Back here I have a speedwell. That was beautiful. I bought that last summer, and I was really pleased with how it turned out. And I'm really happy that it's come back. And then we've got the alocasia. I believe this one's called Serendipity, I believe. And then back behind that, if I can move out of the shadow, I've got the allium summer drummer. So this is a really late allium. It gets a 5 or a 6 foot flower scape, and then it's got a tiny ball. The ball is about 3 inches across, maybe, but for the size of the scape or the stem, it is a very tiny flower. And then back behind the larch, I don't know whether you're able to see right here, I ended up planting my turmeric rhizomes. They came out beautifully this year. And then we've got some Sum and Substance Hosta, Sum and Substance, sorry. And then this is the Enset, red Enset banana that I stored dormant, and it's been putting out leaves pretty good. The leaves are a little distorted at the moment. This one here looks like it's going to be a nice leaf, but it was a double-edged sword. It started, like I said, to get really warm in April, so I was putting them outside through the day and then bringing them in the garage, and then we had the freezing temperatures, and the garage got actually colder than it normally does, it seems, or maybe because I had their soil roots, their root ball in soil and they were moist. They actually didn't do very well. I think it killed off any roots that they had been developing. And this one's always exciting. This is the bastard bomb. Hopefully I can get some light in here. The flowers are super cute. I love this one. And I also just love saying bastard bomb. So it's in the mint family. It's doing really well. Yeah, when I've been watering it, it's been collapsing the bush. I think it's been really dry lately. So it hasn't had enough stability to hold itself together. I might have to get a stake and some ties to make it stand up again. And then over here we have lily. I forget what kind it is. It was a beachy name. I can't remember. So I can't wait for that to flower and smell the beautiful fragrance. Let's go to the next garden. So here we go. Here is the monkey puzzle tree. It's doing really well for being in the garage with very little light all winter. I didn't water it at all, and it's coming out. It's starting to do some new growth. These things are surprisingly picky. By picky I mean sharp, not diva-ish at all. So I'm really excited to grow this one again. I think I've had this. This is the third season, I think, for this one. I can't remember. I might have bought it last year. Oh, if you can remember, let me know. I can't remember. And then in this garden, the hostas got damaged this spring as well with the frost because, again, April they started to grow, and then we got the cold temperatures, and as you can see, the tips of the leaves are deformed, but it's growing out of it better than it did last year, so that's promising. Not all of them got hit, only the ones that were farther along. So like the blue mouse ears is fine, the praying hands is fine. This one, I believe this one's Choo Choo Train. That one's not too bad. You can see some of the browning on the tips of the leaves. Here is the beautiful forest pansy redbud. The flowers are just finishing and the leaves are coming out. They're such beautiful heart shapes. Oh, I really like these trees. So hopefully it continues to do well this year. And I've got to trim off some dead. There's some spikes up here that don't have any leaves, so I'm gonna give it a little bit more time to try to grow, and we will go in and prune out anything that doesn't have any leaves growing on it. So again with the hostas, I think this one's a Blue Angel hosta. I don't know, it's one of my favorites, and I think I brought it from the other house. It's looking so good, it's so big. The bird bath is probably 2.5 feet tall, and it's almost as tall as the bird bath at the moment. The bird bath is doing dual service. I need to clean the water out. I've been doing that once a day recently, but it's still a little scummy. We got a little hosta that's trying to grow here, but the Blue Angel has been shading it out, so I put the bird bath over top of it so it can't grow into it. I'm being resourceful. And at the back I've got the Empress Wu right here, and it always seems to get hit by the late frost, and it doesn't like it. I'm not going to get in closer to it because I don't want to step on anything, but hopefully this year it gets bigger. At the other house it was doing amazing. The leaves were almost 20 inches long, and it was shading out my my Thailand giant colocasia and causing it not to grow. But here, this one seems to not be doing as well. Maybe it just needs to get its root hold in. It's been 3 years in this spot, but so far we've been having issues in the spring with frosts. So we also have the Bleeding Heart, which is doing so good. Wasn't expecting it to get as big as fast as what it did. So yeah, we'll see how that does. I might have to take it out. I love the Bleeding Heart, but it really overtakes the hostas, which is crazy. And we've got some beautiful daylilies that are doing really, really well. I've got them sporadically through the garden. I think I've got 3 or 4. And then back there I've got an alocasia. This is Jimmy Crack Corn, Hosta. And I see a weed growing in there. I need to get in there and take the weed out. And I have no idea what this this particular hosta is. I hope it's last frost, but I can't be sure. And then in amongst the daffodils, I have an echinacea. That's the white one. I think it's called White Swan. And then I've got some more alocasias here. Again, with the late frosts, they were in the garage during the cold spell, and I noticed that the roots that they had for most of them were rotted away, and they were just starting to produce new roots. So they're going to take some time before they get better again, but that's okay. I want to scale back my my big alocasia collection, so survival of the fittest, I guess. The pasque flowers are finished flowering now, and they just have the beautiful seed pods, which are almost as attractive as the flowers themselves. Back behind there we have the germander. I have no idea what germander is, but it's kind of a cool little plant. And then I have a little, what is it, ginkgo biloba. This one's a variety called Troll. I believe it's a witch's broom. So it's a deformity within a plant that they've nurtured. So I'll have to watch this to make sure that there's no regular growth that reverts, because the regular growth is going to grow really, really fast, where this one is kind of a super dwarf variety that naturally occurs in a plant as kind of a defect. And yeah, kind of like an Alberta spruce. Everything about it is miniature, but it's just a part of a regular spruce tree. So anyway, let's go up. These baskets that I have along the back, last year I had succulents in them, but this year I ended up doing purple shields. I believe it's called purple shield. And I don't know whether I'm going to hate myself, but I put an Ipomoea sweet potato vine, and I put the sweet potato vine's going to get huge. It's going to get massive. I have some biddens. I love this color of biddens. And some more Calibrachoa or Million Bells petunias, because I love them so much. So we'll see how these baskets do. All 3 of them have the same thing in them. I like a little bit of uniformity in the garden. Okay, and then next we have these beautiful allium. I believe these ones are called Millennium, and they're just absolutely beautiful plants. They bloom in the summertime, and they're just such a perfect landscape plant. Perennial, herbaceous perennial, that is so easy care, and it stays a beautiful clump. Like, how can you not like this? I don't like onions to eat, but onions are such beautiful plants. Here's another daylily right here, so that might be moved eventually, but right now it's doing fine where it is. This beautiful Japanese maple, I think it's a full moon. What is? I have a tag on here. What does the tag say? My gosh. It's an Orium. I think it's a full moon. I can't remember. Shurasawanam. I can't say that name. Anyway, it's got such a beautiful full moon style leaf. I don't know whether you're able to see it, but it also is very chartreuse. And in the winter time, or in the fall, I believe it goes in electric orange. I believe. And then we've got some gerberas to hopefully set off the chartreusey green of the foliage. The orange really makes it pop. And then we've got the purple of the ageratums in front. And then another ornamental onion that kind of just finishes off the uniformity of the garden right there. And then we've got the pasque flower on the other side. I've got some of the ornamental onions that have self-seeded, running amok. I'm going to be moving these to other areas of the garden. Whether that's in the front yard or whether it's at a neighbor's house, I'm not sure. But they make great gifts because they're such beautiful plants. At the back here we have Perennial Coreopsis. I'm not sure whether you can see it. It started growing in April, and then we got the frost, and then it killed off most of it, and it started to grow again. So fingers crossed that all goes well and we can see the flowers soon enough. And then we have the, what is this one? Obedient plant. I believe that's what the common name is. It's a white one. I think I'm going to get rid of this one. Last year, it spent a lot of time flopping over and trying to root in along its stems, so it was trying to walk along the garden. So it was a real nuisance. I used to have this plant when I was a kid, and I used to really enjoy it, but coming back to it, I'm not enjoying it like I did. So maybe it just had its time, and we'll see. We'll see. I'll give it another season, and if it still doesn't work out, I'll see if I can find one of my friends that wants it for their beds. Yeah, I don't want to just get rid of it. I want to gift it to somebody because it is a fantastic plant. We got some rhubarb. It was over harvested last year, so it's a very small plant this season. So we'll let it do its thing and not over harvest it next year. Give it a chance to reestablish. It should be at least twice this big by now. And then we're in the banana area. They haven't really started. Again, I potted them up in April and had them in the garage. Last year I brought them in the front room, and they were warm and whatever, and by the time they went outside they already had leaves developing. But when I planted them, I did notice that the roots had started to develop, just started, so it won't be long, and then we will see, hopefully on the next update, we will have some leaves growing out the top. And then in front of the bananas, I got some salvias. As you can see, this one is the one that has the black spike and then the purple flowers, so it's a really beautiful contrast. And then this one here is a pink one, which is quite lovely, and then this one's just a blue one. And all three of these get quite large. They get to be 2 to 3 feet tall. I think they're closer to 3 feet tall, and they're just gonna be immense, beautiful flower making machines. And then we've got the catmint. I really like catmint for the bees, but this particular plant gets really unruly. It just gets ridiculous, and it ends up laying down, and it gets a bald center. So I have to come in 2 or 3 times a year and just trim it right back. But I might end up getting rid of this plant just because it gets too unruly. I need to try to find a smaller variety of catmint that stays a little bit more shapely. But the bees love it, so I really want to make sure that I replace it with something that's equally as bee friendly. Got another alocasia here. This one here is Borneo King. It's finally starting to put out a new leaf, so the roots are starting to establish themselves again, which is really good. We've got the rose. This rose is Love. I think I'm going to get rid of this one, or at least move it somewhere else. I'm not a big fan of it. In the beginning I loved it because it has the white outside petal and then the red or deep pink inside petal, and it's just beautiful when it's in a tight bud, but then as it grows out it just kind of looks messy, and then the red fades to really light pink and it's just kind of icky. And then in front of it, it hasn't started growing yet, but I have the butterfly weed, so fingers crossed that that starts sprouting really, really soon. When I was digging around there, it had a really nice root system, so we'll see. Another alocasia, looking super sad, but we do have some growth here. And then this is a penstemon. It's doing really well. I try to grow a penstemon on this side as well, but it always seems to die. I've actually left it here. Here's a penstemon here. For whatever reason, one grows, the other does not. And then we've got the lavender. I'm going to come in very, very soon and give it a very selective prune back. It's just a little bit too unruly for me, and I don't like the dead bits. So I'm going to come in and I'm going to do a maintenance on it, and I'm going to make it a little bit tighter. And then we've got the mini rose from the grocery store that's doing so good. If you live in a zone that you can grow roses in, I do recommend buying the mini roses from the grocery store and popping them in your garden. They're such beautiful plants, and they're so hardy. We've got this beautiful Weigela, the variegated Weigela that's in bloom. I wasn't expecting to see the blooms already, but there they are. The leaves on this one are really, really pretty. You really get the effect down below. It's got like a green on green variegation. At the top it kind of looks like a typical white on green variegation, and I don't like that so much. I like the two-tone green. And then this is the boxwood that I transplanted. It's looking so good. Boxwoods are amazing. They never really show any signs of stress until they're almost dead, I guess. So looking wild and woolly. Like I said before, I will give these a little bit of a trim in the summertime. I'm just going to let the new growth harden off a bit, and we'll see what happens. This is such a cool sedum right here. I can't remember the name. I need to recreate a tag for it. It has a long name, but it's a really nice one. It has orange-yellow flower. I think the buds are orange, and then they open up yellow. Really a neat contrast with the variegated foliage. And we've got another alocasia behind it. We've got all kinds of self-seeded sunflowers back behind there. I'm not going to keep all of those there, but I'm going to keep a bunch. I'll probably keep 5 or 6 just to grow up the fence and be some food for some blue jays like I had last year. And then in front of the sunflowers, you see the honeysuckle vine. I need to get an obelisk, like I said. Something for it to ramble up. I don't really want it to grow up the fence, but eventually that might be what happens. And then we've got the Acanthus hungariensis, and it's just starting to grow for the season. It's going to get probably twice as big as it is now, so it's going to take up quite a large space. And then some more daylilies behind. And here are, looks like only 2 of the, well, 1 for sure. These are the bonsai from the Nature's Secret, I think, bonsai package that we sowed 2 years ago, last year. I can't remember when we sowed the seeds, but this one for sure is growing. I can't remember what the variety is, but this one's looking a little sad, but we'll see. I'm not going to say it's dead yet. Just looks really bad. And then we've got the only one of my strawberries survived, which is crazy. This one started to grow over here, but I think we had, was it voles? Voles, I guess. And they were digging all kinds of holes around here, and I think that they pushed it up, and yeah, things didn't like that so much. And then so beautiful. I love this. It's creeping phlox. This one's a candy stripe, I guess, or candy tuft. I can't remember the name. I think it's candy stripe. But look at those flowers. They're so beautiful. Their flowering season is so short, but they're well worth it. The only thing that I don't like about these plants is that they're so close to the ground that they don't really shade out the grass, and you get all kinds of weeds growing into them, and they're just a pain in the butt to weed out. The good thing about it is they really don't root along their stems, so you can just lift the plant up and weed underneath it, but it's still a pain in the butt. And then this Japanese maple is looking so nice. And it was another one that had a little bit of frost damage because it started to push out its buds and then it got frozen. And look at those leaves, as I am not even centered. Hopefully they're coming into focus pretty well. But hopefully this one gets a little taller. I think I've mentioned it before. I think I want to take a little bit of a stick and coax it to go a little bit taller. It stays so squat to the ground that I don't really notice it. I'd like it to be at least another foot tall. As you can see, it's not very big. And then we've got this beautiful sedum. I can't remember the name of this one, but it's starting to revert back to its non-variegated in some spots, so I might take cuttings of this, because I like this one on its own too, but I love the variegated one. I might have one of each. I'll take the one that's reverted and make it its own little plant. So I can't wait to see how this one grows. I'm so excited. This is the first time that I've ever had this one survive. I used to buy it every year in hopes that it would survive, and finally this one has taken, and this one has been here for I think 3 years now. So yay, that's a win. And then back here we have some crocosmia that are starting to grow back, and we have a bee balm. So for the butterflies and the bees and the hummingbirds. We really want the hummingbirds to come back, and the bees. So, and then we've got the twisted baby Robinia, or Lonicera, I think Lonicera. And the leaves are a little bit contorted. I hope that it's going to get flowers, but it's just such an interesting tree, and I can't wait to see how it grows. Yeah, there it is. And in the coming videos, I'm going to be, I don't know whether I mentioned this at the beginning, but I have this bougainvillea that's growing, and it's finally starting to come out of dormancy, and I want to train it as a standard. So I pruned it last year, and then it started to grow all kinds of side branches again. So I'll take you along with me, and we'll prune this. We're going to make it into a nice umbrella shape. It's going to take a few years, but they're usually fast growers, so they respond well to pruning. So we'll see how it all goes, and let me know if you want to see that. I'm going to film it probably anyway, but last year when I started the process, I didn't film it. So, and then over here we've got some of the ice cream bananas and some of the divisions of the Jack's Giant colocasia. So they're all just growing. Once they start to grow, I'll probably end up getting rid of them on Facebook Marketplace or something. Yeah, I don't need them all. There's so many extras. The first walk through the garden when everything starts to grow is always the longest. Hopefully the next updates will not be nearly as long, but we'll try to cover the new and noteworthy things that are happening. But I hope you enjoyed the walkthrough, and I know that I enjoy doing it. Again, I wish that it was such a thing that I could just bring you through in person, because talking about these things, it's nice to talk one-on-one. But we can do what we can do. Anyway, until next time, you guys, happy growing. And show me some of your gardens. I'd love to see photos of what's happening on the Plants and Things What's Growing page on Facebook, or tag me on Instagram if that's what you use. I'd love to see your gardens. Anyway, until next time, you guys, happy growing.